Afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Lindstrom, Chair of the Environment Committee, and I will call the meeting to order for January 14th. It is 4 o'clock. And without objection, we have an agenda before us, slight modification. As you can see, it's posted on the online version has this change that we will not be discussing this evening the Metropolitan Wastewater Treatment Plant polymer procurement contract. But we do have one item on our consent agenda. We've got some minutes to approve and several items on our non-consent agenda. So without objection, we will proceed with the agenda as is, and we have some minutes from December 10th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Approval.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say yeah. Say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. I caught myself that time. Yep. And those are approved unanimously. And one item on our consent agenda, 2025 Security Officer Services Contract 24P168. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
And a second has been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. That is approved. 4 items on our non-consent agenda today. First one is the adoption of the facility plan for the Coon Rapids Interceptor. This is rehabilitation number 808609. Welcome back to the committee, Mr. Wedin.
Thank you, Chair Lindstrom and committee members. For the record, my name is Tim Wedin. I am an assistant manager with Interceptor Engineering, here to present on business item 2025-9, the adoption of a facility plan for the Coon Rapids Interceptor Rehabilitation project number 808609. I will point out that there are a couple of errors in my presentation today. So as I present, I'll make sure to point those out. A little bit of background. As a reminder, we presented to you earlier on about when we were holding our public hearing. I'd like to thank Chair Lindstrom for his participating in hosting that public hearing. It was very helpful to have you there as a part of that open house and that public hearing.
And by the way, that was at a city council meeting, during a city council meeting in Coon Rapids. So I want to thank the city council and mayor of Coon Rapids for hosting us. They did a great job and they had great questions.
It was very, very well attended and probably one of our more positively attended public hearings that we've had for a while. So I think it was a great use of our time and their time as well. A little bit of background on the project itself. We're located again in the city of Coon Rapids, just to the north of Highway 10, also north of our Phase 1 project that we've completed this past year. The improvements required, again, a condition assessment of this interceptor was determined that the project was needed based on overall poor condition of the existing 48-inch RCP pipe, originally constructed back in the 1968 and 72 timeframe. Condition assessments were performed on these pipes in 2018 and 2021 and found the assets to be in poor condition. 3 types of improvements were proposed or evaluated as part of the project. These included cleaning the existing interceptor, rehabilitation through trenchless methods, and replacement or rehabilitation of the existing structures. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. 3 types of improvements are proposed for this project, which include cleaning the existing interceptor, rehabilitation through trenchless methods, and replacement or rehabilitation of the existing structures. That was determined to be the most cost-effective, most reasonable method of moving forward with rehabilitation of this line. Our next steps, just kind of a summary of what we've done previously. So back in the September 25th, we authorized a authorization was granted to hold our public hearing. We held our public hearing at the city of Coon Rapids, not the city of Forest Lake. Again, thank you for everyone's participation in that public hearing. Today, we are before the Environment Committee to consider comments and recommend approval to adopt the facility plan. January 22nd, we will again be in front of Metropolitan Council for consider the comments and to adopt the final facility plan with the intent of end of May or end of February, by the beginning of March, submitting the facility plan to the Pollution Control Agency and the Public Facilities Authority for their approval and inclusion on the intended use plan. We've included here a summary of many of the public comments that we heard, especially during the public informational meeting. One of the questions, or some of the questions that we received from the mayor and the city council during that meeting revolved around phase 3 and some of the work that we're going to be doing at site 1 there. One of the concerns was the existence of a city trail in that location and the impact of this project on that city trail. So really our resolution for that was to make sure that we're coordinating our impacts to the trail with the city and public during design and construction, and to work to ensure that it's protected to the extent possible during construction. At the end of the project, as part of restoration, the trail will be returned to its normal pre-construction condition or better. We were also asked about the life expectancy of the cured-in-place pipe. As we've shared with the committee before, we shared with the council and the participants that the life expectancy of a cured-in-place pipe lining is roughly 50 years, sometimes more. There's still a number of cured-in-place pipe installations that have been lasting much longer than 50 years, but the cured-in-place pipe is a structurally sound pipe that'll be constructed within that existing concrete pipe. We also talked about some of the construction methods, confirmed that there would be no trenching unless something was necessary. We talked a little bit about the construction of temporary conveyance across trails and roadways, how oftentimes that does require some temporary trenching across those facilities so that we can do some short-term closures in order to install our temporary conveyance. We were asked about how funding would be addressed for this project. With that, we did confirm with our finance group that there's a $242 annual average cost for the wholesale rate that environmental services charges to communities, and 55 cents of that $242 is allocated toward or identified as being paying for this project. Really kind of reiterated that it's a regional project, a regional benefit that we're advancing. So it's not just Coon Rapids that is paying for this work, but we as a region are really advancing that work. No other comments or questions were received from the public prior to or during the public hearing. With that, our proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt the facility plan for the Coon Rapids Interceptor Rehabilitation Project, project number 808609, per the attached resolution number 2025-1. With that, I'm available for questions.
Questions? Yeah, please, council member.
Yeah, I just had a question about the pipe. When they use the cure-in-place pipe method, what's the lifespan of that pipe once they put it in there?
Mr. Chair and council members, the lifespan of the pipe is at least 50 years. We really reestablishes the structural integrity of that pipe. It basically creates a brand new pipe or builds a brand new pipe inside of that concrete, the remaining concrete pipe, and really it's going to serve out another 50 plus years.
Great. Other questions? With that, we have a motion. We are looking for a motion.
Move approval.
Motion has been made, and do I hear a second? Yeah, I do. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to our second facility plan. This is for the Forest Lake Interceptor. And this is Rehabilitation Project number 808603. Mr. Remus, welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair, committee members. For the record, my name is Chris Remus, and I'm an assistant manager in Interceptor Engineering. And today I'm going to be presenting business item 2025-10, adoption of facility plan for the Forest Lake Interceptor 7029 Rehabilitation, project number 808603. So again, similar. We were back here in September looking for approval to hold the public hearing for the facility plan in Forest Lake. But here's a little background of the project map, excuse me, showing kind of the three phases that the project will be looking at, including cleaning, rehabilitation, and replacement of several structures on that project as well. So the improvements required on this pipe, it is an existing 36-inch concrete pipe constructed in 1971. A condition assessment performed in 2018 found that the pipe was in poor condition. And as noted, there's 3 areas of improvements proposed, which include cleaning of the existing interceptor, rehabilitation via trenchless methods, and replacement and rehabilitation of the existing structures. So the next steps, again, summary of the facility plan public hearing process to date. Back in late September, we came to the Environment Committee and the Council to get authorization to hold a public hearing. On November 18th, we had the public hearing at the City of Forest Lake. And I'd like to take this time to thank you, Chair Lindstrom, for leading the proceedings at that.
You guys have been sending me all across the region lately.
Yes. So much appreciated. And we're here today in front of the Environment Committee to consider comments and recommend approval to adopt by the Metropolitan Council. That meeting will follow up on January 22nd. And again, prior to March 7th, if adopted, we would submit the final facility plan both to the Public Facilities Authority and the MPCA for inclusion in the intended use plan. So, summary of public comments. We had one official comment received from a local resident near the project. Their concern was of construction noise and work that potentially would be performed after hours. And our response was that we noted the construction will take place during the hours as stated in the City of Hugo and Forest Lake ordinances. And then there was also one resident in attendance. We had the public hearing in attendance at the City of Forest Lake. They did not submit any questions. They just had wanted to get some general background from the project team, and we're generally happy with the improvements proposed. So with that, Mr. Chair, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt the facility plan for the Forest Lake Interceptor 7029 Rehabilitation, project number 808603, per the attached resolution number 2025-2. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
I have a quick question. I think you told me this that evening, but remind me, what is a doghouse? A doghouse maintenance hole. It's a type of maintenance hole, but I don't know what that means. Am I right about that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So the pipe is larger, a diameter on the bottom, and then it has a flat top on it, and then they build up the rest of the remaining, I'll call it access or manhole, with a smaller diameter. So it's a little more, you're not putting large diameter structures all the way down to the depth of the pipe. So it's a means of access, but not at the large diameter all the way to the bottom.
Interesting. Okay. Very good. Councilmember Cedarburg.
Mr. Chair, I had quite a few calls from citizens up along the line after notices were sent out. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate the staff getting back to me so I could get back to them. And, it was like, what's going on, I think it was access agreements and various on neighboring communities. But to them, it sounded like, they're going to take the land or whatever. So, it was very easy to get the information from you, call them back, let them know. And then I called the city, and so everything was copacetic. But the coordination back was very, very thoughtful and helpful. So thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Chair, yeah, I'm glad to help and glad we could get you the information you needed.
People are paying attention out there. That's good.
Yes.
Very good. Other questions, comments?
Did you want to move approval?
Councilmember Cedarburg, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve. Thank you. Yes.
Very good. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That takes us to our third item this afternoon, which is the Metro Plant. The fourth incinerator design build project. This is contract 21P055, a project we've heard quite a bit about already and is making progress, and I'm excited to have both of you here this afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present business item 2025-11, Metro Plant Fourth Incinerator Design Build Project, Contract 21P055. My name is Rene Heflin. I'm a plant engineering manager for environmental services, and presenting with me is Stephen Norton. He's a principal engineer in plant engineering, and he is also the project manager for this project. In this presentation, we will cover project need, background, procurement approach, scope, solicitation summary, proposal evaluation criteria, proposed action, and then save the questions for the end. The Metro plant needs additional wastewater solids processing capacity for two main reasons. First, additional capacity is needed to complete preservation work in the existing 3 incinerators. The Metro plant operates 3 incinerators 24/7, and they are 20 years old. Each one needs to be taken out of service for 6 months to a year to complete more extensive renewal work than could be accommodated by a shorter shutdown. Second, additional capacity is needed to serve regional population growth. 375,000 new residents are expected to join the Metro plant service area by 2050. Increasing solids processing capacity by adding a 4th incinerator at the Metro plant is an important infrastructure project for our region because the Metro plant processes 75% of the region's wastewater solids. The Metro Plant Solids Management Improvements Facility Plan, which recommends a 4th incinerator at the Metro Plant, was adopted by the Council in October, on October 10th, 2018. The Council received a findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order for a negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement for the Metro Plant 4th incinerator project from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, or MPCA, in October 2023. The Council received an updated air permit amendment for the Metro plant from the PCA in January of 2024. The Metro Plant 4th incinerator project will be constructed using design-build approach, fixed-price design-build, where the design builder retains performance responsibility for process performance to ensure the system meets emissions limits. Staff took a new and strategic three-step procurement approach for the fourth incinerator project. First, the incinerator system supplier, which will furnish the incinerator equipment in the design-build contract, was selected. The ISS provided design-build proposal support as well. Veolia Water Technologies and Solutions was selected as the ISS. The second step was to shortlist up to 3 design-build teams to submit design-build proposals. 2 design-build teams were shortlisted. Those are Jacobs Rice Lake, a joint venture, and the second one was McGough Construction. The third step is the action before the Environment Committee today, which is to select 1 design builder to design and build the Metro Plant 4th Incinerator project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Stephen to talk about the project scope.
Thanks, Rene. The Metro 4th Incinerator project will install a parallel incinerator train and dewatering equipment in an approximately 22,500 square foot expansion to the existing solids management building. Because we've been operating and maintaining our existing 3 incinerators for 20 years, we plan on making some improvements. A couple of these improvements include a horizontal waste heat boiler and improved materials of construction in certain pieces of equipment. Shown here is a cross-section of our existing incinerator trains. Because of the exceptional performance of our existing incinerators, our plan is to provide a very similar system for the 4th incinerator. The 4th incinerator will be designed to process 130 dry tons per day of municipal sewage sludge while meeting state and federal emission requirements. The 4th incinerator project provides for the design and construction of cake receiving facilities, dewatering equipment, a 4th fluid bed incinerator, energy recovery, air pollution control, and a building addition to enclose these items. The design build RFP was issued to the 2 shortlisted design build teams on January 25th, 2024. A pre-proposal meeting was hosted by council staff on February 29th, 2024 that outlined the solicitation requirements, discussed project specifications, and responded to plan holder inquiries. The Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity, OEEO, assigned a Metropolitan Council underutilized business goal of 9% for this solicitation. OEEO determined that the firm being recommended for award has met the MCUB requirements of this contract. 2 proposals were received on August 23rd, 2024, one from Jacobs Rice Lake, a joint venture, and one from McGough Construction. An evaluation panel used the following criteria to evaluate the 2 proposals: the price of the proposal, the project technical approach, the project delivery approach, and the quality of the proposal. The evaluation panel reached consensus that the proposal submitted by McGough Construction is the most advantageous to the council. Therefore, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute contract 21P055 with McGough Construction for the Metro Plant 4th Incinerator Design Build Project in an amount not to exceed $258,732,297. That concludes our presentation. Are there any questions?
I have a real quick question, then we'll go to Councilmember Cedarberg. The criteria, valuation criteria, were those given equal weight, or was there more weight to the cost, or I don't know if you remember that off the top of your head, but could you address that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and committee members, price was approximately equal importance to the combination of the 3 other evaluation criteria listed, which included the project technical approach, the project delivery approach and the quality of the proposal.
Very good, thank you. Councilmember Cedarburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to congratulate you on getting your air permit. Having permitted in my past life, the other three, how complex that is and how difficult that is, and in partnering with the MPCA, and I'm well aware of the capture and the pollution control that is involved with this plant. It's truly amazing. So I just wanted to say congratulations on that, because it's very complex. And
Do you mind expanding on the complexity, or you or the team here? Like, what makes it so complex? I imagine it is, but school us a little bit on the complexities.
I'll just say from what I know is incredibly low levels of contaminants, of metals, and they exceed, their levels are lower than the MPCA limits, even that. And then what's also complex is the testing that goes along with that, because the company I was with did the actual air testing a lot. It's very complex, very detailed. I mean, quality control and the numbers are, exact. So, and then the processes all speak to each other. It's all real time. It's truly amazing. So when hopefully we'll get, as it's being built, some tours as well and things like that. You can elaborate, but it's.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and committee members, we're very proud of the performance of our existing incinerator train. The main components are we have a dry ash system, which is unique for our system, which makes up a baghouse. And then we have a wet scrubber that also removes acid gases and particulates. And then a wet electrostatic precipitator, and then also a carbon tower. And so, it's a very high-performing system, and which is why we are doing something very similar for this project.
And then, Mr. Chair, just thinking of everything he talked about, for performance, you have to measure all of those in the emissions. So.
Mr. Chair and committee members, I would also add, part of it also is the staff that we have on hand that operate and maintain it. And, you could have the most complicated system in the world, but if you don't have people to operate and maintain it properly, so.
So Mr. Chair and Councilmember Cedarburg, thank you for recognizing that. I would just like to add that there's a lot of dispersion modeling, and we had to update that. It took us 48 months for the inputs, a lot of variable wind speeds, just complicated air dispersion modeling, and also risk assessments that are part of a screening process with various health scenarios that they look at for it to pass. And so, yes, that's our consultants that did the modeling, and then working with our compliance staff too, that had to put it into a new format, and then we got help from our general manager too when we weren't moving. So it involved, a cross-functional group and our leadership meeting with the PCA just to get all the things, on that both sides needed to see included in the permit. It was really an overhaul.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add, this is, a scientific engineering nerd's dream to work on a project like this. I'm just going to say that, it really is. The best of the best.
Well, and you had mentioned tours of the facility, and Ms. Heflin and I were just talking about that at Cedar Creek last week, after people were bringing forward really good questions. I'd encourage people, if they ever see an opportunity to take a tour, jump on it, because it is easy to nerd out on all the amazing things taking place there. It's so funny, when you take a tour like that, there's 1,000 things that are coming at you, data points and facts and figures. And the one thing I remember from the last tour is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the fluid bed, we have sand in there, right? And it comes from Norway. It's Norwegian sand. It's not just like any old sand from your neighborhood beach. It is Norwegian sand. That's special sand for this, that works the best in this type of situation. I just thought that was fascinating, that their sand could be an export to the United States and we buy it. Anyways, I thought that was cool. I was nerding out on that, I guess. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually was the one who chaired the public hearing on this one back in the day. And it's very nice to see it coming to completion, and I'm thankful to all the hard work on the part of our staff to get us here. This is a very, very big project, and it's going to make a huge difference for the future of the region and the stability and good working of the plant. So I'm glad we're finally there. I'm looking forward to seeing it built.
Absolutely. Very good.
A motion to approve.
Motion has been made, and is there a second? There is a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that brings us to our last item of the afternoon. Mr. Wedin, welcome back. The ratification of emergency declaration of Interceptor 1-SP-234.
Thank you, Chair Lindstrom, council members. Again, for the record, my name is Tim Wedin. I am Assistant Manager with Interceptor Engineering, here to present to you on business item 2025-026, the ratification of the emergency declaration for Interceptor 1-SP-234. A little bit of a reminder, background on the purpose of an emergency declaration. A declared public emergency is an emergency situation in which the health, safety, or welfare of the public or the safety of Metropolitan Council employees or facilities is compromised or potentially compromised and requires immediate action to correct. Recent emergency declaration examples are a sinkhole at a manhole due to a pipe failure, creating a risk to the general public, or failure of an interceptor due to corrosion of the pipe and creating risk to the integrity of a roadway. A reminder of our emergency declaration process is the infrastructure concern is identified and investigated. A determination is made that carrying out the competitive bidding process prescribed by the council's procurement policy would unacceptably delay the commencement of work to repair the facility. An emergency declaration document is prepared and signed by the General Manager of Environmental Services. After review, the emergency declaration is authorized by the Regional Administrator, who has delegated authority pursuant to the Council's procurement policy. The contractor is selected and work begins under the direction of a Council's authorized representative, and the emergency declaration is ratified by the Metropolitan Council if the cost to correct the emergency exceeds $175,000. Our emergency project is located in St. Paul, around the intersection of George Street and Humboldt Avenue, just south of the Mississippi River and west of Robert Street. It's also a little bit north of Humboldt High School in St. Paul. We circled the impacted area in green on this map. So 1SP-234 was built in about 1897. It's composed of a brick-lined sandstone tunnel. December 23rd, our staff were investigating the project or the location as a part of an upcoming project and discovered the failure of the liner itself. Since the preparation of our business item here and the PowerPoint, we've done some further investigation of this area. We've determined that there is a sanitary service lateral that comes into the facility at this location. We're missing a portion of pipe of that sanitary service lateral, which really that water flowing through was able to wear through the brick liner in that location and cause it to collapse. The scope of the repair, we need to get in and shore up that tunnel to make sure that that liner doesn't collapse any more than it already has. If that liner continues to collapse, it can cause backups in that area and cause further damage in that region. We also have some concerns about further erosion of the soil above that liner in that sandstone area. It seems that the area is stable for now, but we want to continue to move forward as quickly as we possibly can to maintain integrity of that sandstone area where the tunnel is constructed. We will be doing some geotechnical evaluation of that location to confirm whether or not there is any additional damage because of that failure of the liner. We don't anticipate that there has been, but we want to confirm. We'll also go through and reconstruct that tunnel lining. We probably won't construct it as another brick lining, but we're looking at a couple of different alternatives for placing a fiberglass shell over that location and creating or filling the void between that fiberglass shell and that sandstone with a concrete or cementitious material to fill up that void space. We'll also go through and repair that sanitary liner to make sure that's in one piece again. We've got a complete pipe that goes from the residence down to that connection at the tunnel area. We're estimating that cost would be around $2.5 million. That'll depend on what we find as we go through and do our evaluation of the geotechnical conditions in that area, whether or not we need to come back and fill any void spaces. Again, we don't anticipate, based on what we've found so far, that there would be any void spaces we'll need to fill, but we want to make sure that we're following through on that. With that, our proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council ratify the emergency declaration for repairs of the brick liner for Interceptor 1 SP 234 between George Street and Stevens Street in St. Paul in an amount not to exceed $2,500,000.
Did you say this? I might have missed it. How deep is this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council members. Roughly the pipe is around 35 to 40 feet deep in this area.
Yeah.
That makes things more challenging.
Mr. Chair, it most certainly does. We're very limited in how we can access the pipe, and that we need to make sure that we're accessing through one of the maintenance structures, the maintenance holes that are at that location. Because of the depth, they need to use a crane and a basket in order to lower people down into that location. Basket can hold one person, so it's very time intensive to be able to gain access to that location. Getting materials to that location is a bit of a challenge because it's around 100 or so feet walk up to where that failure is located, and so you're carrying those materials to that location. It's certainly a challenge to work through, but I think we've got a good team identified for advancing that work.
And do they pipe in oxygen and do they have monitors to make sure that they're not passing out down there and that it's all safe as possible?
Safety is a very, very important part of this work. We do have ventilation systems that we're installing as a part of that work to make sure that we've got adequate airflow for worker access in that location. We do have our standard confined space entry protocols that we use as we are accessing those sites, so that they do include air monitors to notify staff of dangerous levels or unhealthy levels of air, and whether it's low oxygen, high explosive limit or low explosive limit percentages, hydrogen sulfide gas concentrations. There's a lot of things that those gas techs look at to make sure that we're staying safe. And again, with the contractors, they're going through and doing that, they'll be required to do those same kinds of monitoring to ensure worker safety in that location.
Very good. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you for the pictures.
Yes.
They're always helpful.
That's nightmare fuel, by the way. Looking at that dark tunnel, good Lord, that's going to be haunting me at about 3 a.m.
And I wanted to know, so it was a City of St. Paul pipe that was connecting to that failed, and we're fixing that as well as when we're doing this?
Mr. Chen, Councilmember Wolf, yes, we will be repairing that as well.
Are we going to bill the city of St. Paul for the cost of fixing their pipe?
That's something that we'll be discussing with the city of St. Paul as we move forward.
I mean, really, they collapsed our thing because their pipe broke, so they should really pay for the whole thing, but at least get them to pay for their own pipe, it would be appropriate.
At this point in time, Mr. Chair and council members, my main focus is repairing that failure before anything gets worse, before we have something bad happen. Once we've established what those costs are, been able to determine what costs are being spent on repairing regional infrastructure versus what costs are being spent on non-regional infrastructure, I'll call it, we'll be able to advance that discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up. Other questions? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so this is a sandstone tunnel lined with brick originally. If there were, how many of those are still around?
Chairman Lindstrom, council members, I know we have a lot of the sandstone tunnels that are throughout our system, especially in that southern St. Paul area. There's a lot of sandstone tunnel that is located in that area. And in fact, that's part of our project, is to look at the condition of those sandstone tunnels, the lateral connections to those sandstone tunnels, and rehabilitating those tunnels and those connections. There's a lot of sandstone that we've got constructed through the area. And if I go back to our photo here, you can see, not only that trench in the bottom where you can see the water flowing through, there's an actual half pipe that's constructed in that area that the water stays in. Beyond or outside of that brick construction is actual sandstone tunnel that was cut into the rock back in the late 1800s. It's continued on for a number of years. We don't do that anymore. We usually use pipe, but we're also usually not down that deep in the sandstone anymore. So it's
So
fascinating.
that was
to
the
see.
original geography, the sandstone, and then they cut the hole, and then they lined it with the brick.
That's correct.
Okay.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carries. Thank you very much. That takes us to our general manager's report.
Thank you. A little bit about 2025. We're off into the new year, and we've got actually 2 meetings this month. The next one is particularly of importance because it's the water policy plan that you've been receiving communication on. So hopefully you can all get here. We only do this every 10 years, so don't miss your opportunity to be a part of making that history. And we think this is a special one, so we're really looking forward to putting that into action. The schedule we have is a draft of what we think is that we know of, but this is likely to change. We'll also give you an electronic link to online version so you can be able to look at that from time to time to keep abreast of what's coming, but this is how it stands today. Heavy in the first part of the year, and then it's looking lighter in the latter part of the year.
It's going to be another great year.
Exciting projects.
If nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.